I have no copyright. I have no copyright strikes so far. So
I had to dispute a bunch of those when I was the one in charge of posting our worship services to YouTube. It was great.
I need to look. There's something that's posted in our outreach and recovery service that gets flagged every single week. And thankfully, whatever it is, they just like mute it out for a second and then it's fine. Mm-hmm. But it's like, this could be better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we jump back to, where were we? Okay. Last time on A Crown of Cold Iron, our band of intrepid adventurers successfully resolved the chaos and fallout of a broken pact at the Fickle Spirits Brewery. They were able to rescue the human staff from possession and actually work out an amiable resolution with Veritas Sneakin and the Beersall Kobolds. So Fickle Spirits now knows they have a Fae partner and are going to be doing quite well for the future as long as they follow the terms of the pact. So we slipped into some downtime after another brush with near death and another visit with his mysterious lady patron. Auric has set off to try and discover more about contacting this figure that he knows only as the Phantom Queen or Lady of Wailing.
Preferably without being on death's door.
Without dying.
Really Lexi, nice normal conversation.
Yeah. Lexi is still trying to fend off some hostile bureaucratic city maneuvering against Luz, which she discovered was prompted by some feline fae working through a law firm called Cawthorn, Allen, Tar and Smith, or CATS, for those who are keeping track at home. Cyrus has been trying to tap some of his resources and how to best thwart this incident, but also has been reached out to by his childhood friend, Alex. But Alex was not very responsive over text message and instead insists on speaking to Mort. However, Mort has not been seen since a rooftop encounter between Cyrus, Mort, and some iteration of a massive feline fae creature. So Cyrus and Alex are starting to meet in the middle of the night at Luz, and we're going to cut over very quickly to a news story. So Lexi, you would probably see this like as you are maybe sort of standing there watching this conversation. Auric, this would maybe hit your phone as like a big news announcement, whatever that looks like for you. And it's the sort of cover shot of it is a very bedraggled looking Lady Bryn, a smiling and resplendent Lord Llewellyn, the deputy and senior ambassador of the Parliament of the Fae to the human realm, shaking hands with various figures on the World Council, various human leaders in the city of Queensborough. And basically it's announcing that they have reached a deal to increase the number of Fae immigrants allowed into the city at a given time by a fairly large margin. There were very few Fae allowed in the city up to this point, and this actually increases that tenfold. They're going to go from officially somewhere in like the probably less than 500, less than 1,000 up to more like potentially up to say 10,000 Fae across the whole city. Only a drop in the bucket compared to the human population, but a sizable move forward.
The real question is, does this official number now match the unofficial number?
That remains to be seen. All right. So this sort of blips out.
Are we gonna now apply for a work visa or something to
No, because
immigrate legally?
if I'm here officially, my mom can find me.
Oh.
I also love the strange wordplay of like the Fae having a dreamer act, like a dream act for the Fae.
Yeah.
It hits different.
Yeah.
So anywho, so we are back in a private area of Luz. Luz has been sort of shutting down for the evening. I was going to say a strange figure, a decidedly unstrange figure has appeared. A seemingly a humanoid or human man wearing sort of stylish but conservative clothing, has awkwardly lingered past the official closing and has come out to go and sit with Cyrus. Upon being prompted to provide some kind of proof of identity, this figure revealed itself to be Alex, not by showing their scar and tattoo as Cyrus requested, but by fully transforming their face, which I believe Cyrus didn't know that was something Alex could do.
Right.
So yeah, we'll drop right back into the moment. Alex has just asked to see Mort and has offered a very high level NBI code phrase associated with Mort. So we have two very strange revelations on top of each other.
Yeah,
Cyrus,
so-
I need to see Mort right now. Do you know where he is?
So I think Cyrus, like, because of the conversation about magic, it just like completely glosses past the illusion stuff for a moment, and is just kind of like, yeah, okay, I guess if I can do it, so can you. That makes sense. But then so starts into an explanation of, yeah, that's actually part of why I wanted to get in touch with you. Mort and I were talking and we ran into and then he like stops as like the conversation like catches up to him and he goes, wait, why do you know that?
So it sounds like you're more up to speed now, right?
Yeah, but where did you learn that phrase?
Okay. Where do we jump in? So as you're sitting here, you're feeling that same weird, almost inexplicable sensation you had when you were talking to Mort on the rooftop. This sort of strange, almost physical discomfort, or certainly physical. It's an unusual, unsettling kind of feeling. Okay. What you have seemed to have found out in the last, 3, 4, 5 months, something like that?
And a little bit more in the last, 48 hours?
So the entity that you thought of as my mom is not my mom. Mort had to deal with my actual mother, is a strong phrase, the being that was causing me to be created. You are mostly human with a bit of, and he kind of looks pointedly back at Lexi, but like doesn't say anything. You are mostly human with a bit of what Mort is to fill in the rest. I was the opposite. I'm mostly Fae with a lot of what Mort is to fill in the gap. And he keeps giving like Lexi kind of, is she gonna stand there the whole time? It's making me very uncomfortable.
She's on the level. I mean, not like NBI level, but she's on the level.
And he's going to turn to Lexi. Is the door locked?
I'll double check it for you.
So while she goes to do that, Alex drops. Well, I say drops. So when you change, it's a form of illusion magic. When you see Alex change, there is an organic biological quality to it. Alex is fully physically becoming this persona you see in front of you. And you see their whole body kind of shift and change. And they let out a, and it's kind of weird seeing Alex in those clothes, and they kind of look and go, "How stupid thing." And when they hit, like little like arcane sparks fly, and there's a second where it does the same thing that you've seen your mantle do occasionally. It like gives that static flicker, and you see the feathery mantle, and then it becomes like a like a leather jacket that's been cut to sort of a vest. But Alex still doesn't look quite like what you remember. Alex has more of a gray skin tone than you've seen before. And it's actually very similar to the color you started turning just a little bit in Fickle Spirits when Auric was down. And you can see just little traces, and they kind of blend into some of the tattoos. You see little traces of like the feathers. And you also see, you can see sort of the whole sleeves of tattoos now. You do see the crescent scar. But you see now places that used to have blanks. And they didn't look awkward then. It was places where like a pattern just kind of swept around seemingly nothing. But it just kind of looked like it had a sinuous design to it. the gaps have images in them now. And you see some things you recognize. You see black feather motifs. You see ravens. You see other things that you're not quite sure of. There's a looping symbol. There's a strange sort of looping symbol of, I'm not quite sure what to call it. It's like 3 spirals that meet into a triangle at the center. And these motifs are just woven all the way throughout. And now that you've seen them, it like makes perfect sense, the patterns you've seen before. And even the nails are just a little long and sharp and dark. So you're mostly human and I'm mostly this. There was Mort, and when I was old enough to understand it more, both of us were hoping that maybe you could stumble backwards into a little bit of normal. I see that ship might have sailed. So I've been lending Mort a hand. I mean, since before we graduated school. It's a bit of a taboo word with the other Fae, but I'm what they call a changeling. And changelings mature a lot faster than human children. Admittedly, we still got into a lot of actual trouble. But some of the things that I got in trouble for were things that Mort needed me to do. I'm not on any NBI list. That code phrase is that's my trump card. That's my break glass in case of emergency. And other than that, I don't exist to the NBI. Mort does a lot of good work in and with the NBI, but a lot of what he does is bigger than the NBI. And sometimes he needs people who don't show up on lists and don't have ID and don't have to file reports. So this is the worst possible time for Mort to drop off. He's never been gone this long. Not when I really need to get a hold of him. My gut tells me that this is bad. Mort put me on to something. It's been maybe three-ish months. There's a group of humans, and Mort's been keeping an eye on them for a long time. Their name's terrible. They call themselves the King's Guard. They're really into old Arlant iconography and the myths and legends and heroes, but they have found something, and Mort wanted to know how much they had found. 3 months ago, the real Shane Allowan stumbled out into the square in Old Imperial and died with about 100 different curse marks all over his body. Old, nasty, ancient human curse magic. Stuff that the Blackthorns wouldn't know what to do with 95% of it. Luckily for us, good old Shane tripped some kind of ward or alarm spell that Mort has in that area of town, and he found him before anyone else. This group that he's a part of, they've found something under the Palace of the Raven King. I don't know. Shane wasn't really very high up their list, but there's a whole area down there. They've known that there were ruins under the restoration, but they've been inaccessible for a really, really long time. Mort thought that maybe there were wards that were keeping folks from going down there, but something seems to have changed. It's hard to say when. They found it maybe 6 months ago, and it couldn't have been active much before that. Maybe a few months before that. And they seem to have stumbled their way into a layer of ruins down there. And it's taken them this long just to get a few hallways into this place. It's brimming with traps and curses and horrible, lingering undead things. A lot of these guys have died going down these hallways, and I'm not super sad about it. They want to be rid of the Fae at all costs. And they think that there's something down there that's going to help them do that. And I'm worried that they're right. Mort thought that they were right, that there's something down there that was worth protecting this hard. The problem is they're getting better. it's not all of them, but enough of them are. And he actually turns and looks at Lexi and says, they're not as bright as her, but there's a few of them in the mix now, and they're tougher and they're stronger and faster, and they're starting to actually make some headway. And I need to ask Mort what to do. I need help. I've mostly been standing in the back and ducking traps, but I think here soon they're going to actually find whatever it is they're looking for.
Wait, do you actually know what her light is?
Can you not see that? Like, although
I've seen it, but I don't know what it is.
it's, and he says an old common word. And Lexi, when he says it, it like immediately, it's like someone's ringing a bell. And Cyrus, you see like her hand visibly like flickers when he says this word. And he says it's hero light. It's that je ne sais quoi that lets, and he says, like, no offense, but illiterate human peasant farmers pick up rusty swords and go fight fey demigods. Now they don't all look like that. There's a lot happening there. And why does it smell like booze?
Did you say, why does it smell like booze? Okay, sorry, the fan kicked on right as you said that, so
I mean, we just got blessed by some Fey beer lord. I don't think they're related, but you never know.
Oh, yeah. No, this is something different. It's the whole reason why humans have a civilization today. It's where the knights and heroes and warriors, there's some of them, and there's a little bit of blurry overlap with, like the theological crowd, but I mean, this is where human power comes from. And I can't remember, Lexi, did you ever research the hero light, or was it just stuff that came up when Auric was researching? I feel like it was just Auric, because I don't remember you doing research.
yeah, I don't think I
recently.
did the research. Yeah, I'm looking through my notes.
So the one person who can make this connection for you is not there.
Not present.
As players, you might remember that Auric found a story as he was doing research about an ancient human, like, warrior chieftain who nearly at the expense of their life pushed all the way deep into fairy and found a mysterious patron and brought back some kind of power to the human realm. but before they were just some schmucks with guns. It felt like a joke for a while. Every night I would just go watch a few more of them, step on an arrow trap or, get attacked by skeletons or something. But it's almost like the more they push at it, the stronger they're getting.
An unfortunate side effect of humans. I'm about to say unfortunately.
Mace. Mace.
Cool. Well, Cyrus, all right. First of all, I'm glad you're not actually working with the NBI, because if you were and you hadn't told me, I'd be pissed at you.
That's fair.
2, so were you created at the same time as me, or are you older than me?
I'm just a little bit younger than you.
Okay.
What, and maybe Mort was being too nice here. The creature that created me took the stuff to create me from you.
Mhm.
If it had succeeded, you would have died and I would be fully Fey.
Okay. From just me? Are there other pairs like us then?
Well, they're not so much pairs anymore. Mort doesn't talk about it much. I know that I wasn't the first, but I've never met or heard of any of the others, but it's a dark corner of the story I don't know that I want to know more about.
Fair enough.
Mort has done a lot of things to protect the humans in the human realm.
What?
Well, speaking of Mort, he was catching me up to speed a couple nights ago when some giant fey cat thing showed up. And so he took off. But the last thing he told me was find him, keep him safe.
How big of a cat are we talking? Like fat house cat big, tiger big?
Bigger.
Alex just starts like softly swearing in a whole bunch of different languages, and it just gets like louder and louder.
So I was going to say, we think the unseen stalker is trying to steal this place. Why, we don't know.
We're pretty sure it's not because he wants a bar.
I mean, this bar maybe. How? You might as well come sit down. This is Mort's job. I just go pretend to be people. Luz is old. I wasn't sure it was going to let me in. And actually, as they say that, Lexi, you get a weird vibe of like, it's actually very similar to like when Oric came one of the first times. There's a weird push and pull. You know sort of what it feels like when Luz welcomes someone. I don't know that you've ever actively seen it repulse someone, but you can feel like there's a tension of welcome and rejection at the same time.
Like that it's a reluctant welcome, I guess would be a way to put it.
I mean, there's almost an element it's almost like magnets.
Okay.
Like there's something about Alex Luz wants to push away, but there's also something else that like resonates with Luz. So there's a lot of famous landmarks in town, and they've all got the little plaques and the tour groups and the historical status. Luz is older than any of them. Before there was a city here, there was Luz. It wasn't called that then, obviously. This is, it's hard to say if it's the only one, but this, and he gestures again as like to Lexi and is like, whatever this is, this is the center of it in Queensboro.
Okay.
Jeez. Why is the stalker involved? I don't like this.
He also might be after something we picked up.
There's more. Of course there is. Of course there's more. It can't be worse than the other things. What is it?
It's a book and a rod. We have both of those, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Alex arches an eyebrow and says, "Are you propositioning me, madam?"
Nah, not till later.
So why do you think the stalker would be after a book and a rod?
You heard about you would be in the know, right? You heard about when the
Blake.
Blackthorns got hit a couple months ago.
Yeah, like an anthill of weenie fairies attacked a bunch of wizards. It was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, some college kid found a book that was compelling him to control a bunch of fae, and he tried to open a portal in the middle of town.
Oh, great. So it's not a rod in a book. It's a gate opening rod and book.
The rod's I don't know if they go together or not. The rod was what he was using to control the fae, but the book,
Give him instructions.
the book does some fae mind control stuff. So it's hard to say if the stalker wants Luz or if he wants what we've got stashed in Luz.
Why not
Incidentally,
both? He just
incidentally,
drains
that
his drink.
yeah, that kid also went missing. Somebody's hiding him from both magic and tech. I don't know if that's the he that Mort told me to find, but that's my suspicion.
Oh, my gut suspicion was Alex was the he, but Alex goes by they, so that would be the wrong pronoun.
Yep.
But that was my gut instinct.
Yeah. Above game, I confirmed that Mort would know Alex's pronouns. So
Yep.
unless you've got a better idea of who Mort wanted found.
I was expecting to turn your world upside down tonight. I don't even know how to prioritize this list. Like the house is on fire and the fire is on fire. I don't even know. This will sit for maybe a few more days, but not for too long.
Which this?
All of it.
The Kingsguard?
The Kingsguard. Mort has a pretty good idea of the sorts of things that could be down there, and some of them are game changers. Like, I mean, this crew left to their own devices. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're awful. They're bad. They can cause a lot of harm individually doled out, or just sort of as a miasma over the discourse of the entire town, but only up to a normal human level. If they walk out of there with some magic super weapon from the height of the Fey human war, I mean, it's hard to say who was worse during this Fey and human war. They found ways of, it was a magical arms race. And there are things down there that are more destructive than we can wrap our heads around. And especially for a group that wants nothing more than for all the Fae minimum to leave town, if not to die.
If we get down there first, can you contain it? Or do we need Mort for that?
I really want to say that we need Mort for that, but I don't know. The crowbar is inside the crate. I don't know where to start picking away at this. Mort would know how to handle what's down there, but I don't know how to apparently rescue someone from the big cat. Like, I don't even know. Like,
yep.
They might find a super weapon down there. That thing is a super weapon.
Well, it sounds like those are our choices. We're either dungeon diving to go find a super weapon ahead of the other people, or we got to convince the big cat to leave town. And that's how Mort comes back.
If you think you can figure out, here's the other problem.
Oh, good. We needed one more.
Well, this one's not quite as bad.
Oh, good.
The Kingsguard are on high alert right now. They're together all the time. I can only slip away because it is stupid, awful o'clock in the morning. I need to go back soon, because if they figure out their old pal Shane is actually dead, we lose our only in.
Do we have to go in the way they're going? Is there another entrance?
So there have to be other entrances somewhere. One of their guys is a big sewage engineer, is too strong of a term. He's a sewer guy. And quite literally, they stumbled backwards into some tunnel. Maybe it was an old escape tunnel that collapsed, but they hit it in some other part of town, and they're able to follow it underground to reach the ruins underneath. Mort's suspicion was that something was obfuscating and protecting this area, and something has changed recently that has made it accessible even to people like that.
Do you think that and Lexi kind of waves her hand around as a symbol of what this is what's helping them get in?
I mean, it's definitely helping.
But you don't think it's the key that's changed things?
I don't think so, because that has gotten stronger the more that they've done this, but I don't think they had enough of it. You know, like, you might legitimately be able to fling yourself at some ancient magical ward and do something to it.
Sweet.
But, you know, these guys didn't have that before they went down there. They were able to break into this tunnel with like a jackhammer on accident. Something failed. Something stopped. I think Mort's trying to figure out what that was. Like, why now after 1,500 years?
Why a ward essentially has broken.
Yeah.
Would Alex be able to tell me anything about like the kind of wording that's on lose? Because yeah, Lexi just rolls with it. She just takes it for what it is. She hasn't really done research on that.
I'm not an expert by any means, but if I had to sum it up, lose doesn't have wards, because wards are something you put over an inanimate structure. Lose is more like somewhere between some of these words are contradictory. Somewhere between a massive construct and like an urban nature spirit, and if I say celestial, it's going to send you down the wrong track. It's a
Just sending you a message.
manifestation of a paragon. It so embodies and it exemplifies a certain something that it becomes a spirit in its own right. It's all of those things tangled up together, and it is very, very, very old. You might think of it like there was a practice in one of Arlen's ancient neighbors. They would foster deities, essentially. They would find a place that had a sacred vibe to it, and they would build a shrine, and they would build an altar, and they would perform little acts of worship, one stone on top of another, a bowl of rice, a special song, a chant.
Lexi turns and looks at the bar. Just kind of.
And they would do it every day, over and over, with hundreds of people over the course of years. And they would worship these beings into existence. And he looks over and he points at the bar and he says, every time someone comes in here and orders a drink and sits, every time someone strikes up a conversation, every time someone comes in after a long day and orders an app, all those little moments are one rock on top of the other for thousands of years.
Does that make me a priestess?
I mean, we don't want to put too much theological baggage on it, but there's something there.
caretaker at the very least.
You're keeping a fire burning that's been burning for a very, very long time.
Oh, I had another question and then I remembered and then I forgot it again. Shoot. Cannot remember now.
Well, then perhaps around this moment, there's a knock at the door on news.
Uh, Lexi and Cyrus, make a perception check.
Unnatural 20.
9.
Lexi, there are very few things that you don't notice in the confines of Luz. And there is what is now a familiar sort of burst of bird sound and sort of ephemeral dark feathers. And Alex vanishes. And you sense that they're still there somewhere.
just- Well, basically.
Yeah, they just like poofed. Cyrus, you have no idea.
I mean, I could tell Alex isn't there, right?
Yes, but you
Okay.
have no idea like the intervening step to get there.
Why did Alex vanish? That is the question. I look at where Alex was and I go, that feels like it might be Auric. He's another one of our buds. And I go to the door and I say through the door, what's the password?
You didn't tell me there was a password.
Password.
When do we get? When, huh? When was there a password?
It's definitely Auric. And so Lexi goes through the series of like unlocking every single lock, you know, like it's not just the secret clubhouse, but also that she's paranoid. She's had a few weird dreams recently, you know. Cats are a little creepy right now.
I mean, I know booze is expensive, but that's a lot of locks.
Auric, as you come in, make a perception check.
Oh, good, a +0. So a 6.
Yeah, so Alex is nowhere to be seen. Lexi, with your high roll, there is something that you can't see perched on like one of the perched up with like the high the top shelf content in a gap there's something you can't see perching.
I look at it and say, don't knock over the good booze. You have to pay for it if you do.
There's just like a faint flickering in the air. If it wasn't for your connection with Luz, you would not have seen this, but you feel it almost like it's like pressing on your shoulder. Like there's a sense of presence.
Yeah. Oh, now I remember what I wanted to ask Alex.
So just the two of you then?
No, there's 3 of us. 4, including you.
Cyrus will just My friend's being a spook.
Okay. This is the person that you said might be able to answer some questions about the that two off.
The dinosaurs.
Yes, yes. Jason Voorhees.
Possibly.
Possibly.
They're at least closer to it than I am.
Well, if they can at least help me figure out how to contact one without dying first, that would be a good start.
So there's a long pause, and as you all sort of talk back and forth, finally the bathroom door opens back up, and the form of Shane Allowan is sort of dissolving back into Alex. Interestingly, Lexi, there's still something up on that shelf. That was not Alex.
All right. I look at Alex, I look at the shelf, I look back at Alex, back to the shelf, and I say, my point still stands. Don't knock over the good stuff or you're paying for it.
They gesture to the shelf, and you hear a caw, and this sort of layer of invisibility peels back, and a small black raven flies out and lands on Alex's shoulder.
Does he have a name?
Hmm.
Does your raven have a name?
Alex says some incomprehensible word that it almost sounds like you would hear traces of both common and Sylvan in the language, but you don't know it.
I'm gonna call you Nev, short for Nevermore. I couldn't resist the urge.
Cyrus will just look over at Alex and go like, what, the beer's going through you that fast?
You could perhaps have told me that you had a friend stopping by.
But you didn't. Dude, common courtesy. Oh, neat trick with the face, by the way. I can do that too.
Aren't you want to bet Alex could already see your dragony
Probably.
singly self?
100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say. He takes off the ring and Alex just looks at him like, nothing changed.
What's different?
What's different? You look the same.
For grins and giggles, everybody make an insight check.
Natural 20.
16.
2.
Auric, you're the only one that catches this. When you start talking, Alex really looks at you full on for the first time, and something almost indecipherable passes across their face. But there was definitely something there, but it was so subtle that standing right there, Lexi and Cyrus miss it.
Cyrus is like inwardly like replaying like 20 years of interactions with Alex, trying to be like, wait, when did
Trying to
There's-
pinpoint everything.
There's definitely a few moments where you were like, you thought, I mean, and you turned out to be correct that Alex was, sort of supernaturally gifted at getting into and out of trouble.
right?
And there's several points where you go, oh, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like times where like Alex disappeared and then like exactly the right person comes walking around the same corner to like bail you out of trouble, or like weird things like, some kid at school starts to bully you all and then like comes in one day covered in like band-aids and like visible scratch marks and stuff and never messes with you all again.
So a raven. I look pointedly at Cyrus and specifically look at your jacket. So that's a thing.
Yeah. There's connections.
Are they slasher type connections?
When you say connections, Alex like takes a drink of their drink and goes, one big flappy family.
Oh boy.
And the bird pecks him and he's like, ow. It's funny. Well, this is a strange crew.
That's a polite way to put it.
So we've got whatever she is, whatever he is, and whatever you are.
I'm just a dragon, man.
Sorry, keep doing that. They give you a look when you say that. It's funny. I had the Alex will come in looking like Shane Allowan part in mind before you gave the rest of the description. And it's real hard to like switch it back and
For
forth.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they raise an eyebrow like, mhm.
So ask Alex about who's been talking to you.
So I suppose I need to know how much prehistory you might be aware of, although it seems like you probably have a hinting about the things that go bump in the night in the Fey fairy tales.
Yeah, I might know a little bit.
I don't know if you heard what I said when I came in about having questions about making contact without dying. Three times now?
Seems that.
3 times. 2 times when I was, well, I guess maybe the book tried to kill me, and so 3 times I was nearly dying. The Lady of Wailing, does that name ring any bells? Phantom Queen.
The Alex is like very visibly like, it's a very controlled expression, but it's so it's not so controlled that it looks natural. It's like clear, like poker face. The bird like freaks out. It just starts calling and flapping. And he's like,
I see your bird is familiar. She I'm not sure what she wants with me apart from keeping me from dying, which is very nice. It's the rest of it that I'm not so sure about.
everybody make an insight check.
Only a 13 this time. Insight.
15.
17.
So Lexi, you catch just a hint of this. Alex is like reeling. And Alex's response to reeling is to go very like calm and tight-lipped and like, okay, I'm going to try and think this through before I say something. So when you are dying, you come into contact with this lady.
Yes.
And when he says lady, you all can hear like the capital L. And what sorts of things have you all talked about?
Well, it's the last time I think the main thrust of what she was saying was please stop dying. I believe it was something to the effect of she has plans and they involve me staying alive, which again, very, very grateful for the whole keeping me alive thing, but the plans I would like to know more. So I would like to get in touch with her without being on the brink of death. And Cyrus mentioned having contact with that realm,
Her friends,
possibly.
her business associates.
They, I don't know how that whole hierarchy works. I try to not think about it.
You should try not to die.
We're all working on that, trust me.
I might be able to find some resources, especially if we can find Mort. Yeah, Mort would know what to do.
I turn to Cyrus quickly and go, is Mort Jason Voorhees? Okay.
So I'm going to be honest. I'm a little overtaxed right this second, mentally and emotionally.
Well, I'm assuming that y'all weren't meeting here after hours just to have a friendly chat, so I apologize for dropping all of this on you as well.
It's okay. The fire that's on the fire is on fire.
Oh, so you've been to the Feywild. That's a common, yeah.
Apparently Alex is sitting there like the dog in the burning room, sipping his coffee going, this is fine.
This is fine.
I mean, there is very much that, like, there is a sort of very subtle edge of like manic, something in this expression of like, Alex is running out off the edge of the cliff out onto open air, and if they look down, they're going to fall. All they can do is just keep running.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. All right. If we find Mort will know more. I might be able to find you something. I can't get into all of Mort's resources, but maybe some of them. But which fire is the most on fire? I don't know. We've got to pull one of these threads.
Perhaps starting with the one that we know the location of.
Sorry, I only know the one thread. Can you fill me in on the other threads?
So we do.
Yes.
Well,
There's
apparently,
an update on because Maisie just, yeah.
Well, apparently you have a some kind of magic portal book upstairs, and the unseen stalker himself is trying to take ownership of it, and also possibly this nexus of hero light in Queensboro.
Is this the location of where the guy got the light from? The story of when he, like, that's the question I forgot.
Oh,
The
well,
story when he dug through.
No. That was in another. If I read the story right, that was in Far Off Lands.
Okay, that was not here.
well, and this is slightly weird because you know to ask that question, but Lexi actually doesn't, because that was us just reminding the players of that.
That's true.
I do
Good
think
point.
that I gave the basic gist of the story to
Yeah.
the rest. Yeah.
Okay.
So in that case, you would know, yes. The place where they met this mysterious patron was on the far edge of Fairy.
Okay.
Go to the end of the universe and turn left.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Cyrus will say, and Alex wants our help finding some Fey Ark of the Covenant before before the brown shirts do.
Okay.
So both
Well-
before it melts faces, then before portraits.
Well, I will confess that I have a personal interest in that last one because I would like to not have my face melted by brown shirts.
Yeah. And Alex points at Lexi and Cyrus, and they say, yeah, you two probably okay. Us, probably not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's scarier, Fey Ark of the Covenant or the Unseen Stalker?
The Unseen Stalker by a large margin, but I don't know what to do about that tonight.
Well, and here is the other question, and I give Luz a very reassuring pat because that's become a habit now. How much can this storied establishment defend itself?
Against a direct incursion, very well. But the Fae are nothing if not masters at indirect methods, and the Unseen Stalker above all others.
Well, yes.
I
Well,
mean, the guy's got lawyers trying to get the building.
well, there's a
you know,
timeline
like-
on that one at least.
You might think of it as, well, like any city under siege. You have the biggest, thickest wall, but the Unseen Stalker has ladders and towers and tunnels and secret entrances and all manner of stealth and treachery and lies.
So reinforce the well, keep an eye out for sappers, and go on to this other thing.
If we get the Ark, can we threaten to melt? Can we melt his face off?
Depending on what you come out of there with, possibly. This is the scale of it. And they pull out it's a very like practical looking short sword. There's almost no ornamentation to it, except that it is like visibly magical. They hold it and say, hand me something you don't mind losing.
I reach into my briefcase and pull out some paper.
I suppose that works. They throw it in the air and it shears through the paper so cleanly that it like doesn't even like disturb the falling of the paper. They just have these on racks. This is what they gave the guards for whatever else is in here.
Do you think we could get them drunk first?
They are much more motivated than they were before. Before they were content to
I was gonna ask Spoon.
if you say this out loud, Alex says, you have to understand this sword doesn't have a name, because this incredibly razor sharp sword that defies all modern understandings of physics, they were mass
Standard.
producing these.
Yeah.
The
Standard.
swords that have names, we don't want them to get. I mean, before they stumbled on this, like I said, these guys were awful, but they were limited. It was protests and message boards and, shaking down some poor soul who didn't know to walk with a buddy around little Sylvain.
Incels.
It was petty, it was terrible, but it was small. This is the man cave of the sorcerer who was 50% responsible for splitting apart all of reality.
Okay. It's not about which fire is the most on fire. Because if those swords are standard issue for guarding the more powerful things in there, that fire is between us and the fire extinguisher. Yeah. Which I think
So-
Cyrus already suggested. I'm just saying it again.
Yep.
And fancier.
Within the metaphor.
So where can we find a bucket of water? Might not be a fire extinguisher, but
Well, we're straining the metaphor, but I think you all are the bucket of water.
I mean, I have ice magic.
Lexi just lets her hand, just picks her hand up and lets it glow a bit.
I make it taste spicy.
Alex's phone blows up all of a sudden, just like 3 or 4 messages back to back, and they look down and they say, "I've got to go." Send me a message when you're ready, but I wouldn't wait too long. And they slip back into the Shane Allen persona, and actually, as they sort of step out into the dimmer light outside, it's like they start to disappear.
Neat trick.
They've got more tricks than I do.
Step up your game, man. Yeah. So the man cave of the sorcerer, half responsible for breaking the worlds apart. Yeah, I think we can find something to deal with a big cat in there.
Cats don't like water.
All right. Is there anything else you all want to do here at 3 o'clock in the morning at Lou's?
Sleep.
3 o'clock is not a time that's supposed to exist. There's 2 o'clock is very late, and 5 o'clock is very early, and 3 and 4 just don't exist. And so, yeah, the book is still here, isn't it?
Yes.
So I was going to ask you two, now that we've had more experience, or I've had more experience, whether you think that I'm onto something here when I say that since the wailing lady of wailing, queen of wailing, has only contacted me otherwise when I was on death's door But the first time was with this book. Do you think the book tried to kill me?
It's a possibility. I was a little busy driving at that moment, so.
Because I had been thinking maybe I would try the book again as a non-lethal way to talk to her, but not if the book was trying to kill me.
She may not appreciate that.
Yeah.
You might need some more wards or something.
Yeah.
And how well warded is that safe again? Can we reinforce it? Do we know it?
Lexi's got no clue.
I don't know warding magic. Neither of you, well, Cyrus, you kind of know magic. Lexi, you know nothing about magic except how to break it. It's in your office, right? So you're up there frequently. You would know if anything bad was happening in the safe.
I certainly haven't like felt any vibes telling me that something's wrong.
Okay. Good enough for me.
Okay.
Well, I guess we need to plan to dungeon crawl. That's a new one.
Yeah, sounds like.
Better make sure I've got fresh batteries in the flashlight.
Right.
Go see if I forgot the name of it, but see if the magic shop has any trinkets.
Trinkets that could help us.
Midsum Pond.
Well, I don't know if y'all have spent your share of our last take, but I haven't yet. So yeah, maybe do some shopping first. Otherwise, I just need to find $2,500 worth of snow globes.
Your snow globe obsession is going to get you broke.
They're fungible tokens.
They're what?
Fungible tokens as opposed to non-fungible,
What does fungible mean?
resaleable.
Oh, okay.
I did have the thought of a spore druid who refers to their spore zombies as fungible tokens and like doesn't understand like why that doesn't. Yeah. Anywho, something ominous to close out on. So Cyrus and Auric, I assume you all go off to your respective resting places.
Yes.
Lexi, make a perception check with advantage.
$19. 22.
You have this dream again. It's been happening more and more frequently. Blues getting darker. The massive feline creature prowling outside. You catch glimpses of it through the window. And for the most part, you've only seen the eyes. This time, you manage to turn at just the right moment, and you actually see it in motion. And you mostly just see the silhouette of it. You do see the eyes have a bit of a glow to them. So even in silhouette, you can distinctly see where the eyes are. But you notice something else too. In that brief moment before this creature sort of flickers, there is something glowing gold and green across like the forehead of this creature. And it's got this sort of swirling golden green light, and it looks nothing so much like a handprint. And just as you sort of lock onto that detail, like a creepy little girl with long dark hair in a Japanese horror movie, it like flickers and flashes forward, and it's just the giant slitted eye in the window again. And then you wake up.
All right.
All right. Well,
I was thinking more like that, but
we will come back here next week with some shopping and some planning for a little bit of true dungeon diving. We're going to put a little bit of, we've had a lot of dragon in our D&D. We're going to put a little dungeon.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to kill the stream.
Bye, bots.
Bye. I don't even know if we have bots tonight.
I have 2 users in chat.
I don't know who the other one is here.
Filter and Gia BC.
If you're a real person, do you want to say something in chat? Let us know you're alive.
For me, creative.
Nope. It's a bot.
shame.
They all post back to this same streaming service. Well, they fixed a problem with my with the Twitch Studio. There was a weird bug they fixed. I got a new follower, but I assume it is also a bot. All right. Well, I'm going to jump on off here and get ready for next week.
All right.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
Night.